Mulholland Drive is my personal favorite David Lynch film, and one of David Lynch's most coveted pieces of work outside of things like Blue Velvet, Eraserhead, Lost Highway. I mean, his whole catalog is not very long. They're all bangers, though, but Mulholland always seemed to stand out to me, and I hear about Mulholland the most from other people. Now, if you don't know what Mulholland Drive is, I highly recommend you go watch it, and then you come back to this. However, if you don't want to do that, I'm going to give you a quick rundown of what this movie is about. Essentially, a woman gets into a car accident and wanders into another woman's home, and as the other woman tries to help her figure out what her identity is because she lost her memory in the car crash, they begin to have a relationship and fall in love. All sorts of strange, surreal things happen throughout, including at the beginning a really weird, almost dreamlike sequence where this guy is talking to a police officer in a Winkies and then goes out back because in a dream they are describing they met this cop there, and then when they go out back they find this evil creature that essentially scares the hell out of him, and that's why he wanted to call this cop. So they go out back to check it out, and then all of a sudden this woman appears. It looks like a homeless woman who is covered in dirt and garbage. This is one piece of surrealist cinema that happens throughout this. Also, what happens is there is a bunch of subplots. So, for example, Justin Theroux plays a director who has a movie of a lifetime that he is making, and he wants to cast a specific individual. However, the higher-ups, aka like the Hollywood elite and the directors and producers, etc., said, no, you need to use this girl, and otherwise your entire film is getting shut down. And overall, what happens towards the end of the film is we go from the world where there is the woman helping the other woman figure out her identity, and we come into this really dark, gritty world of just heartbreak and pain. Essentially, we now see that in this world, the two women did know each other and they did have a relationship. However, one woman went on to make a name for themselves and have a really good Hollywood career, while the other failed horribly. And Justin Theroux's character is shown to be a man who is a director and actually is the one who took the other woman and brought her up to give her her career, as well as ends up marrying her and breaks up the loving lesbian relationship that the two had. Then at the end, we get a really dark sequence where the woman who didn't have a career and didn't make it ends up screaming and being tormented by the ghosts of the people that told her that she would fail, and she ends up killing herself. It's a super dark ending and a super dark movie, but here's my take on it all. Overall, throughout most of David Lynch's films, he's always had a ton of anti-Hollywood messages in there, talking about how Hollywood is a man's world and how they won't let lesbians or women take hold of any type of position of power without sexualizing themselves first. Also, one of the running themes in David Lynch's films is that Hollywood is a soul-sucking, demonic force that a lot of people dream about being in, but those are just that, dreams. And that's where the tagline for this film, as well as the feeling that I get from this film, comes into play. The tagline is A Story in the City of Dreams. And what I think happens in this movie is the first half is a dream world. The dream that Naomi Woods' character, overall had when she first came to Hollywood. She dreamed about finding a nice woman that she could, be in love with and making a name for herself and just living a happy-go-lucky life. And this is what a lot of starlets come to Hollywood hoping for. They hope for community, friendship, success. But instead, what they often get is a life full of pain, trauma and disappointment. And so then David Lynch basically is asking the question, are these dreams truly dreams, or are they ways to get people into the nightmare? Furthermore, David Lynch has always been very open about his struggle with the top producers and financiers of Hollywood. He has always been one who's made surrealist cinema and really makes movies feel like dreams, which in my view is a really cool thing. However, most of the time, these producers and financiers only want the most mainstream palatable story with the most palatable actors. And so this is where you get the whole higher ups even shitting on Justin Theroux's character. Yes, the women here get the worst brunt of it, and honestly that is fucking horrible. But I do appreciate how the movie shows that even the men in Hollywood, or at least most of the men in Hollywood, also don't get what they want. A lot of the times they are subservient to the men above them, and it's all this massive patriarchal system that really doesn't serve anybody except those at the tippity top. So this is why when we get to the reality of the world, we see that everything I just described is pretty much what plays out. Some women are picked up in order to be sexualized and used for their bodies, and that's the only way that they in turn could get some massive role. In the relationship between the two women, which was predominantly a very soft and loving relationship in our dream world, becomes just a hateful, spiteful nightmare where the one woman who didn't make it ends up like going to the reception of the wedding for the other woman, even though they did have a relationship before, and it just destroys her mentally. So much so that she goes and hires a hitman. Now, I didn't really mention the hitman. The hitman is brought up earlier in the film, and because it's brought up earlier in the film, I do think we go in and out of the dream world. I think that for the most part, most of the story of the beginning is told in the dream world of these two women. However, obviously, in order to show the hitman and all that, unless she was dreaming of that, we do have to come out into the real world and see the sort of consequences there. And then even the hitman they hire is a fucking idiot who doesn't even kill the right person and ends up being seen by multiple people, so has to kill them too. It's really showing the stupidity of a lot of the men here, as well as the power that they exert over their female companions. This movie really does have a heavy feminist kind of message to it. I'm sure because I'm here on YouTube, a lot of people are going to be really mad about that, but I absolutely cannot disintegrate the connection between feminism and this movie. It is very strong and easily able to be seen if you're just looking at it in the right way. And I think what this movie is saying is that the woman that came to Hollywood looking for, fame and all that, she's not the problem. The problem is the system that chews her up and spits her out and leaves her to be a homeless woman on the side of the street that was tossed to the side and left to wallow in their own filth. Or you can get very, very lucky and become the one that the guy at the top wants to fuck, so that way you can get a role. And I think Lynch is saying, fuck all of that. Fuck Hollywood. Go and attain your dreams through your own aspirations. Don't go and try to use these pre-existing systems that are built to fuck people over and continue accumulating wealth at the top. But I'm curious, what do you guys think? Do you guys think I'm right on my take on this film and what the overall meaning is? Do you think that there's something that I missed that is super important that you think I should have touched on? Or do you just have your own entirely different interpretation and analysis? I definitely would like to know, because that's one of the best parts of surrealist cinema, and that's one of the reasons that I very much like David Lynch. With David Lynch and with surrealist cinema, there's so much imagery that has so much packed into it that it's fun to dive into what each image and what each plot point really means. And so going forward, I'm definitely going to be trying to do a whole like breakdown of for various surrealist pieces of cinema. For example, I'm a big fan of Eraserhead, The Lighthouse, and the Holy Blood was good. We have a bunch of surrealist cinema on our list to watch going forward. Everything from The Mountain to I mean, I don't have anything else that I can say off top, but again, definitely let me know if there's anything else you want us to react to or break down in the comments down below, and let me know if you agree or disagree. Besides that, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram. That'll pop up during the outro, and you can follow any of our other socials down in the description below. And yeah, I guess besides that, thank you guys for tagging along during this smoking session.
Spaced out of my head to the depths of the universe. It's a spell or a chance just to open up a newer curve.